Today I woke up with the burning desire to speedrun, but as I looked at my options, most of them were too boring or straightforward and were already done by everyone, until I asked myself, what if I speedrun multiple games at the same time? Coincidentally, about 2 weeks ago, Landfall, the guys who made Totally Accurate Battle Simulator,
Alright, well, duck.
Cluster Truck and many other cool games, released Landfall Archives, which is a collection of 23 prototypes which they never finished and decided to release for free for April Fools. But this is no joke to me, I'm going to go through all of these games and beat them one by one. Okay, so most of these don't have an actual ending since they're prototypes. Instead I made a list of objectives that you have to do in order to complete each game. I will go into more detail for each game when we get to it. I started the run on Robots Forever, a cool shooting type game where you get a random weapon at the start and fights robots forever, as the title implies. It is infinite, but it is also divided in sections. Once you beat a section, you can go to the next randomly generated level. Because of that, the objective for this game is simply to beat the first section, which is no easy task. First, the fact that you get a random weapon means that you could get a machine gun or a revolver with 6 bullets. This is the reason why I play this game first, so I can reset faster and not have to deal with RNG later in the run. Then the game is hard. Not only are the weapons random, but enemies are too. You can get a flying slow drone with a tiny gun, or a walking nightmare with a saw blade that runs faster than Usain Bolt. The second game in the run is Medieval America. It is called this way because you have shields and guns. This one is a multiplayer game where you fight against an opponent Smash Bros style until one of you falls out of the map into the water. So how do you beat this in single player, you ask? You don't. Instead, the objective of this game is to get a weapon that falls from the sky and shoot all of its bullets out. It's no easy task at all. First, the weapon spawns randomly across the map. Then, you have a limited amount of energy that you have to use wisely to get it the fastest. All of that combined is why I put it as a second game, so you can reset faster if you got a bad run. The third game to play is Round 3D. This is an unfinished sequel to the game Rounds, which is really fun and in 2D. Unlike Rounds 3D is kinda bad and boring. It's another one of these multiplayer games. So since there's a bit of platforming, the goal of this one is to get to the highest point, which is the top of either one of these two head statues. Pretty straightforward. The fourth game is Physics Survival, which is a game where you control little units to run around and collect materials to create more friends. The objective for this game is to collect one wood and one stone that you use to craft a spear that you use to kill a deer, get it back to your circle,
sacrifice it to the gods,
and use its meat to create yourself a new friend. Airships 2 is next, and I know we haven't played Airships 1 yet, but I don't care, 2 goes first. In this game you spawn on an island with no grass. Problem, we wanna touch grass. There is grass on this other island all the way over here, but it's impossible to go there by foot. Thankfully, we are in a world where we can build airships. We could build an entire airplane to get to that island, or even a helicopter, or even whatever that is, but that would take too long. Instead, just use a metal pipe with 4 huge propellers. It's 100% safe and efficient. Next up, we got airships. Yep. Airships 1, right after Airships 2. In this game there is only one island, which already has plenty of grass to touch. So the objective is to use an airship to colonize the sky. Build something that flies and use it to stay in the air for 5 seconds. Robots Forever 2 is next. You might remember Robots Forever 1 as it was the first game in the run. Yep, this time the order is correct, don't ask me why. In this game you actually don't fight robots forever. There is a campaign with levels and an end screen. It's still hard as but at least we know where to go and I don't have to make up a way to beat the game. Then we got Blob Game. In this terrifying game there is a fleshy blob for us to feed and we can do all sorts of stuff to get different endings. But the fastest ending occurs when you just jump into this hole and die. After that, on to Physics Presentation, which isn't that much of a game and more Landfall showing off that they know what they're doing with physics. But we don't care about that. Just skip through the whole presentation until you get to the last screen where the game thanks you. How nice. Counts and Stakes is next, and it's another multiplayer game. In this one you can choose a lot of different weapons and upgrades at the start to fight your opponents. It's a really fun game to play with your friend, but we don't care about that, since if you create a room by yourself and are the only player alive when it starts, the game says you win. So you win! Congratulations! Anything for My Pals is a game where creepy stalkers follow you and answer every command that you give them with your female voice. Just like if you were Amorals, giving her Sims orders, make them push this log, slide under this obstacle, open a few doors, dodge this giant swinging metal thing that will take out most of your stalker friends, open another couple doors, and the victory talking shining orb is yours. Playful is a game where you can beat the shit out of your friends in a fun way and kick them out of existence. There is also a game mode where you can score goals. That's what we'll be doing for this run, since again I want it to be completable in single player. Creepy Robots is a game about waves of creepy robots that want to kill you. Grab this AK and make the first wave know that you don't like hugs. Walking House game is a really cool concept where your house is actually a giant robot that you can move around and which can shoot exploding missiles. For this run, the goal is to collect materials from these worker drones and bring them into your house, and then kill that one monster that's roaming around. This monster is invincible, unless you throw him out of the map. Plant Plane is next, and oh, that's a nice change of pace. Just get to the infinite path, and we'll call that an ending. Action Brawl doesn't work. I asked my friends over at the modding community for Landfall Archives, and they said that it was strictly only local multiplayer and that you have to use at least 2 controllers, which I don't have, and most people don't. So, without any controller, how far can you get into the game? Well, you can literally only go to the next screen. And that's good enough. Game completed. Physics Fighter is next, and this game is a banger, let me tell you that. Punch people, throw knives at them, kick them in the nuts until they die. This game has levels of increasing difficulty and it gets really tough, especially for the last level. Worst thing is, if you die at any point, you get sent back to the very first level and have to do it all again. I don't know why I put this game so late into the run, it's a run killer, but oh well. Right after that we got the Rectangles, which just might be my favorite game in this entire list. The concept is really simple. You have a squad of worms, rectangles, with which you can jump around and shoot around with. Then the physics take care of the rest. There's grenades and super shots too. You can play with 10 units and up to 8 players. This game is really fun to try with friends, or even to have fun blowing everything up alone. I definitely recommend it. For this run, just end the game as fast as possible by having one team win. RTS Card Game is another really cool game. It combines StarCraft and Hearthstone to create a game where you place down troops with mana and then actually control them to beat up the opposing team. You can even combine your cards to create powerful abilities and troops. This game has a plethora of levels and an actual ending too. Just beat up everyone until you get to one of the last levels. You see, in this game, if you lose or just don't bring anyone to battle, it's not game over just yet. Every enemy will reduce your health points one by one, and then you'll complete the level. That means that if you keep enough health points by the end of the run, you can just skip the last 3 levels and get away with it. Missile Game is next. It's an Angry Birds type game, except you're the angry one and you're a fucking missile. Shoot down the yellow squares until they're gone for good. Post Game or Post North Simulator is one of the final 3 games, and boy oh boy is it a good one. I've probably spent more time on that game than the actual devs. This game has single-handedly rocketed my playtime to 45 hours, which may not seem like a lot until you see how little content it has and remember that it's just a prototype. It's really simple. You have boxes coming out of this hole, and you can increase the speed at which the boxes come out. Then you have these holes which get you $10 for each box that falls in. You have only a couple options for getting the boxes in, which are conveyor belts, lifts, funnels and catapults. This game should not be this addictive, and I'm far from being the only player who fell into it. Anyway, for the sake of the speedrun, the goal is to get a box in each hole. There's 5 of them, the first 2 being really easy to get to. As for the last 3, you'll have to get creative with catapults and well-placed conveyors, as you don't have a lot of money when you start up the game. The game that comes before the last one is TAPS 2017. It's basically just the 2017 prototype version of Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. It has a lot of cool units that were cut in the final game, such as the 360 no-scoper. And it's fun to see how it was back then and how the game has evolved since. It's very buggy and crashes a lot, but for this speedrun all you need to do is make either side win in a battle, just like for Rectangles. It has a campaign, but I couldn't get it to work, and I figured that if it only works on a couple computers, I might as well just make it so you only have to complete a single battle. And the last game of this list is a pretty crappy one, Ocean Plane, where you control the plane with your mouse out of all things. It's really hard to get used to. In this game, your plane bounces on the ocean and there are 5 ships that you can destroy. So the goal is to get all of them to fall onto the ocean. Once all of them are down, it's finally time for you to say, and time. You've done it. You've beaten 23 games all at once. For more specific info on the rules, you can check speedrun.com. Well, if it actually gets accepted. And now I'll just leave you with a sped up version of my run of the game.